Alright guys, what I'm going to talk about is sort of a serious subject with me, but I'm not going to get all crazy about it and yelling and spitting and pointing fingers and stuff like that, because this is really something that I truly believe in. And at the beginning of the video you saw two covers, okay? You saw a Batman Catwoman cover, you saw the Batgirl Joker cover, and the Batgirl Joker variant cover has been pulled. And from what I understand, the internet being what it is, we're going to put the word allegedly in there so far. Basically, the artist who drew the Joker Batgirl cover, which is referencing back to Alan Moore's Killing Joke, a book that came out coming up at least 30 years ago. He has allegedly, supposedly, received death threats and didn't mean to offend people and getting thrown under the bus and stuff. And normally with that kind of drama, this is business. This is DC's comics and stuff like that, and it's their right to respect the artist's wishes and everything like that. But the way it went down is that I feel like with what I read, the man was bullied. This is a form of censorship. This is a minority that is taking away the freedom of choice for the majority of people who saw the cover and are scratching their heads like, what's all the controversy? This has been going on for a while. With this cover, and these things come and go. We've seen a lot of changes in comics, but this is different because this is bigger than comics. Okay, this is about it's a form of censorship. It's a form of bullying. It's a form of, like I said, a minority taking away choices from a majority of adults who read this stuff. It's up to the parents to watch what their kids read and stuff, and that's still getting too big because you can look at the covers. Personally, for me, the only thing I have said about it was it says more about the people who can look at that cover than it does about the cover. If their mind goes to whatever they're seeing in it, I've heard fetishism. I've heard what else did they say? Fetishism, just perverted, and it goes to rape and stuff. You know, that's art. That's interpretation. I'm not saying they shouldn't see these things, but it does. Art reveals a lot about ourselves. Okay, when we interpret things, it shows our mindset. It shows where our mind goes. Is that and then you're supposed to sort of think, what is the artist saying? Is the artist trying to make us look into ourselves, or is the artist trying to say something that he is? Now, I'm talking. That's a broad strokes there, right? Okay. I'm an amateur artist myself. I've always drawn since I was 10. I've read books. I've took classes and stuff about art history and stuff. I've always got in the thing that got into the comics was the expressions and the storytelling and the psychology used in comics. Anybody that's watched my channel, I've talked about that stuff from the beginning of doing this stuff when I thought, these were my thoughts. So imagine if, I interpreted my thoughts on a comic book, you know, of what I think I saw and what I said, and everybody piled up on me and said I was not allowed to express myself that way. It's the same thing. It's starting out small. It's giving into pressures of a minority of people to get rid of this comic. Okay, DC can do it. They can't, but I think it's important to let DC know that there were people who just didn't see it that way, and they wanted the cover. It's starting. These things always start out small, and then they snowball into where it's not just going to be a comic book cover. It's going to be bigger next time. Okay, that's how censorship works. That's how these little watchdog groups work. It's a foothold. And it's going to get bigger, and they feel like they got power, and you're going to have a company or something like DC or something running scared, giving in left and right, when that's not the case. So I started an online petition to save the Batgirl cover, okay? And I'm going to leave you a list of books of things that have happened before, okay? This is what I'm talking about, okay? Here's a list of the books, okay? Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, 1884. The Autobiography of Malcolm X, and Alex Haley, 1965. Beloved, Toni Morrison, 1987. Burn My Heart at Wounded Knee, D. Brown, 1970. The Call of the Wild, Jack London. Catch-22, Joseph Heller, 1961. Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger, 1951. Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury, 1953. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ernest Hemingway, Gone with the Wind, Grapes of Wrath, The Great Gatsby, Howl, okay? Howl, Allen Ginsberg, 1956, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, The Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison, 1952, The Jungle, Leaves of Grass, Walt Whitman, for God's sakes, 1855, Moby Dick, Herman Melville, Native Son, and I can go on and on. Red Badge of Courage. Okay, these are all books that have been banned at one point or another, or are still banned. Okay, so you tell me. Does that make any sense? I mean, really. So I'm putting the link to the petition down below. I didn't really get into everything I wanted to say. I just got it to bare facts because I don't want this thing to get muddled in philosophy talk and my point of view and stuff. It's just that it is a form of censorship, and that is bad, and I just think it needs to be stopped in its tracks before it gets worse. Okay? Alright, thanks a lot, guys. And, share the petition too, man. Share it, pass it around if you believe in it. So, thanks a lot.